Your blood flow doesn't stop at night. It drops, and between 2 and 4 a.m. it hits the lowest point of your entire 24 hours, which is exactly why so many seniors wake up with numb hands, cold feet, and cramps that tear them out of sleep. 70-year-old man, my patient, woke up 3 times a night with his calves locking. Hands so numb by morning he couldn't grip a coffee cup for the first 20 minutes. His circulation tested fine sitting in my office at 10 a.m. That was the trap. Nobody tests you at 3 a.m., and 3 a.m. was when his legs were starving. Here's what nobody explains. Nitric oxide is what keeps your vessels open, and your body makes almost none of it overnight. After 60, the pathway that produces it collapses further. So you lie flat for 7 hours with blood barely moving through your legs, your feet, your hands, and every night that happens the vessels stiffen a little more. Morning stiffness, cold extremities, cramps at 2 a.m. That's not aging. That's 7 hours of starvation, repeated nightly for years. L-Citrulline is the compound that fixes it, and it doesn't come in a pill worth taking. Swallow arginine, and your gut destroys most of it before it lands. But citrulline slips past your gut untouched, converts in your kidneys, and feeds nitric oxide production for hours. Eaten at the right time in the right food, it works through the exact window your circulation collapses. I gave that man 7 citrulline-rich foods. No supplements. 4 weeks later the cramps stopped and he woke up with warm hands for the first time in years. Now number 2 on this list carries more citrulline per bite than any supplement on the shelf, and almost nobody eats it. Every study is waiting for you in the description. Before we start, tell me one thing below. What's your age, and how cold are your feet at night? I read every comment myself, and I write back. Now let's start with food number 7, the one that keeps nitric oxide flowing through the deadest hours of your night. Number 7. Garlic. Most people think of garlic as just a flavor booster, something you toss into a pan to make dinner taste better. But garlic is quietly one of the most powerful cardiovascular foods on the planet, and part of that power comes from its L-citrulline content. Now, garlic does not contain as much L-citrulline per gram as some of the other foods on this list. That is why it is at number 7. But what makes garlic special is the way it attacks poor blood flow from multiple angles at once. Beyond its citrulline content, garlic contains a compound called allicin. When you crush or chop a raw garlic clove, a chemical reaction happens that produces allicin, and this compound directly stimulates nitric oxide production in your blood vessel walls. A 2013 meta-analysis published in the journal BMC Cardiovascular Disorders reviewed 11 clinical trials with a combined total of 734 participants. The results showed that garlic supplementation reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 4.6 mmHg and diastolic by 2.8 mmHg. Those numbers might sound small, but a consistent 4 to 5 point drop in systolic pressure reduces your stroke risk by roughly 20%, according to data from the American Heart Association. Here is how to get the most out of garlic for nighttime blood flow. Take 2 to 3 cloves of raw garlic about 1 to 2 hours before bed. Crush them and let them sit for 10 minutes before eating. That resting period is critical because it allows the enzyme alliinase to fully convert alliin into allicin. If you cook the garlic immediately after crushing it, you destroy up to 90% of the allicin before it ever forms. If raw garlic is too intense for your stomach, try mincing it finely and mixing it into a tablespoon of honey. The honey helps coat your stomach lining and makes it much easier to digest. You can also roast whole garlic bulbs at low heat, around 150 degrees Celsius, for about 40 minutes. Roasting at lower temperatures preserves more of the beneficial compounds than high-heat cooking. A 2016 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that slow-roasted garlic retained roughly 70% of its organosulfur compounds compared to raw. Aged black garlic is another excellent option. The fermentation process actually increases certain antioxidant compounds by up to 2 times, and it is much gentler on the digestive system. Whether you choose raw, roasted, or aged black garlic, consistency matters far more than quantity. Eating 2 to 3 cloves every evening before bed gives your body a steady supply of both L-citrulline and allicin, and over time, this combination supports better vasodilation throughout the night. Your blood vessels stay more relaxed, your circulation improves, and your organs get more oxygen during that critical sleep repair window. Now, let us move to a food that packs an even bigger L-citrulline punch. Number 6. Walnuts. Walnuts are one of those foods that scientists keep finding new reasons to celebrate, and their L-citrulline content is one of the most overlooked reasons of all. Among all tree nuts, walnuts stand out because they contain meaningful amounts of both L-citrulline and L-arginine, giving your body two separate pathways to boost nitric oxide production while you sleep. A major 2021 study published in the journal Nutrients followed 708 older adults over 2 years and found that those who consumed roughly 30 to 60 grams of walnuts daily experienced significant improvements in endothelial function. Endothelial function is basically a measure of how well the inner lining of your blood vessels works. When your endothelium is healthy, it produces nitric oxide efficiently, which keeps your arteries flexible and open. The same study showed a 3.2% improvement in flow-mediated dilation, which is the gold standard measurement for blood vessel health. On top of the L-citrulline, walnuts are the only tree nut with a significant amount of alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. A single 28-gram serving gives you about 2.5 grams of this omega-3, which fights inflammation in your artery walls and helps prevent the kind of plaque buildup that chokes off blood flow over time. A 2004 study in the journal Circulation found that eating walnuts improved endothelium-dependent vasodilation by 64% in adults with high cholesterol. That is a remarkable number from just adding a handful of nuts to your diet. The best way to eat walnuts for nighttime blood flow is surprisingly simple. Grab a small handful, roughly 7 to 10 walnut halves, and eat them about 90 minutes before bedtime. You want raw, unsalted walnuts whenever possible because roasting at high temperatures can degrade some of the omega-3 fatty acids and reduce the overall benefit. If you find raw walnuts taste too bitter, try soaking them in water for 6 to 8 hours. Soaking removes some of the tannins that cause that bitter flavor, and it also breaks down phytic acid, which can block mineral absorption in your gut. After soaking, drain the water and eat them as they are or blend them into a small smoothie with a bit of tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is actually rich in its own sleep-promoting compounds, so the combination works on 2 levels. You get the L-citrulline and arginine from the walnuts boosting your nitric oxide, and you get the melatonin precursors from the cherries helping you fall into deeper sleep where that blood pressure dip is supposed to happen. Store your walnuts in the refrigerator or freezer because their high fat content makes them go rancid faster than other nuts at room temperature. Rancid fats create oxidative stress, which is the exact opposite of what you want for healthy blood vessels. Fresh, properly stored walnuts eaten consistently every evening can become a powerful tool in your nighttime circulation routine. But the next food on our list delivers even more L-citrulline per serving. Number 5. Chickpeas. Chickpeas might surprise you on this list, but these humble legumes are a seriously underrated source of L-citrulline. Most people associate chickpeas with hummus or falafel and never think about what they are doing inside your blood vessels, but the science tells a compelling story. Chickpeas belong to the legume family, and legumes as a group are natural producers of L-citrulline as part of a metabolic cycle called the urea cycle that occurs in plant cells. A 2019 study published in the journal Food Chemistry analyzed the free amino acid content of 14 different legume varieties and found that chickpeas ranked among the highest for citrulline concentration, delivering approximately 0.2 to 0.5 milligrams per gram depending on the variety and preparation method. That might not sound like much on paper, but chickpeas are a food you eat in large servings. A single cup of cooked chickpeas weighs about 164 grams, so you can get a meaningful dose of L-citrulline from just one serving. Beyond their citrulline content, chickpeas are packed with potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that play direct roles in blood pressure regulation. A single cup provides roughly 474 milligrams of potassium and 79 milligrams of magnesium. A 2016 meta-analysis in the Journal of Clinical Hypertension covering 34 trials with over 2,000 participants found that increasing potassium intake reduced systolic blood pressure by 3.5 mmHg in hypertensive adults. Magnesium works alongside that effect by helping your smooth muscle cells and artery walls relax, which directly supports vasodilation during sleep. The best way to prepare chickpeas for maximum L-citrulline benefit is to start with dried chickpeas rather than canned. Soak them overnight for 12 to 14 hours, then cook them in fresh water until tender. Soaking and slow cooking preserves more of the free amino acids compared to the high-heat processing used in canning. If you only have access to canned chickpeas, drain and rinse them thoroughly because the canning liquid contains excessive sodium, which works directly against your blood flow goals. Try eating a half cup to a full cup of chickpeas about 2 to 3 hours before bed. You can make a simple warm chickpea mash by heating cooked chickpeas with a drizzle of olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, and a pinch of cumin. The olive oil adds its own cardiovascular benefits because the oleic acid in extra virgin olive oil has been shown in a 2020 study in the journal Antioxidants to improve endothelial function by 7% over 4 weeks. Cumin is not just for flavor either. Research published in Phytotherapy Research in 2014 found that cumin extract improved blood lipid profiles in overweight individuals, reducing LDL cholesterol by 10% over 8 weeks. Eating your chickpeas warm rather than cold may improve digestion and amino acid absorption, which means more L-citrulline reaching your bloodstream when you need it most, right as you are falling asleep and your body starts its nightly repair process. Speaking of repair, the next food takes L-citrulline content to a whole new level. Number 4. Pumpkin. Pumpkin is a member of the Cucurbitaceae family, the same plant family that produces the number 1 food on this list, and that family connection is exactly why pumpkin is loaded with L-citrulline. Cucurbits are among the highest natural producers of citrulline in the entire plant kingdom, and pumpkin carries the genetic advantage in both its flesh and its seeds. Research published in the Journal of Chromatography in 2005 measured free amino acid concentrations across multiple cucurbit species and found that pumpkin flesh contained L-citrulline levels ranging from 1.3 to 3.5 milligrams per gram of fresh weight. That puts pumpkin dramatically ahead of non-cucurbit foods like garlic, walnuts, and chickpeas. But here is what really caught my attention. Pumpkin seeds, also known as pepitas, are themselves rich in L-arginine, the amino acid that L-citrulline converts into. So when you eat both the pumpkin flesh and the seeds together, you are flooding your body with both sides of the nitric oxide production chain. A 2019 study in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that pumpkin seed oil supplementation reduced systolic blood pressure by 5.1 mmHg and diastolic by 2.7 mmHg over a 12-week period in 60 postmenopausal women. Those numbers are comparable to some first-line blood pressure medications without any of the side effects. The best approach for nighttime blood flow is to eat pumpkin in its simplest form. Take about 1 cup of fresh pumpkin, cut it into cubes, and roast it at 175 degrees Celsius for 25 to 30 minutes until it is soft and slightly caramelized. Roasting at moderate temperatures preserves the L-citrulline content far better than boiling because citrulline is water-soluble and leaches out into the cooking water. If you boil pumpkin, you can lose up to 40% of the citrulline unless you drink the cooking liquid as a broth. Pair your roasted pumpkin with a small handful of raw pumpkin seeds, about 2 tablespoons, and you have created what researchers sometimes call a synergistic amino acid pairing. A 2017 study in the European Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that combining citrulline-rich foods with arginine-rich foods increased plasma nitric oxide metabolites by 22% more than either amino acid consumed alone. Eat this combination about 1 to 2 hours before sleep. Canned pumpkin puree is an acceptable alternative if fresh pumpkin is not available, but make sure you buy pure pumpkin puree and not pumpkin pie filling, which is loaded with added sugars. Sugar causes insulin spikes that can interfere with the nighttime blood pressure dip you are trying to support. Season your pumpkin with cinnamon if you like a touch of sweetness. Cinnamon itself has been shown in a 2013 meta-analysis in the Annals of Family Medicine to reduce fasting blood glucose by an average of 24.6 milligrams per deciliter, which supports better metabolic health during sleep. The combination of pumpkin flesh, seeds, and cinnamon creates a simple bedtime snack that attacks poor circulation from 3 directions at once. Now the next food might already be sitting in your fridge right now. Number 3. Cantaloupe. Cantaloupe is another proud member of the cucurbit family, and its L-citrulline content is significantly higher than most people realize. This sweet orange melon has been measured in multiple studies to contain between 2.0 and 3.6 milligrams of L-citrulline per gram of fresh flesh, putting it right in the same range as pumpkin and approaching the levels found in our top 2 foods. A 2007 study published in the Journal of Chromatography analyzed 20 different cucurbit varieties for their citrulline content and confirmed that cantaloupe consistently ranked among the richest sources after its more famous cousin. What makes cantaloupe particularly interesting for nighttime blood flow is its potassium density. A single cup of cantaloupe cubes delivers roughly 427 milligrams of potassium, while containing only 54 calories. That potassium-to-calorie ratio is one of the best you will find in any food. Potassium works as a natural vasodilator by counteracting the blood vessel constricting effects of sodium. A 2017 study published in the American Journal of Physiology found that potassium supplementation increased nitric oxide bioavailability by up to 15% in adults consuming a high-sodium diet. So the potassium in cantaloupe actually amplifies the effect of its own L-citrulline, creating a dual mechanism for improving blood flow. Cantaloupe is also rich in beta-carotene, the antioxidant that gives it that deep orange color. Your body converts beta-carotene into vitamin A, which plays a role in maintaining the integrity of blood vessel walls. A 2014 study in the journal Atherosclerosis found that higher plasma beta-carotene levels were associated with a 32% lower risk of arterial stiffness in adults over 55. Stiff arteries are one of the biggest obstacles to healthy blood pressure dipping during sleep. The preparation could not be easier. Slice a fresh ripe cantaloupe and eat about 1 to 2 cups of cubes roughly 1 hour before bedtime. You want the melon at room temperature or slightly chilled, not frozen. Freezing can rupture cell walls and degrade some of the free amino acid content. Choose cantaloupes that feel heavy for their size and have a sweet fragrance at the stem end, because riper melons have been shown to contain higher concentrations of both citrulline and beta-carotene. A study from the University of California, Davis, in 2006, found that fully ripe cantaloupe had up to 28% more beta-carotene than fruit picked early. If you want to boost the effect, drizzle a small amount of fresh lime juice over your cantaloupe cubes. The vitamin C in lime juice enhances nitric oxide stability in your bloodstream, meaning the nitric oxide your body produces from the L-citrulline stays active longer. 1 medium lime provides about 19.5 milligrams of vitamin C, which is enough to make a measurable difference according to a 2012 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that found vitamin C improved endothelial function by 4.3% in hypertensive patients. Simple, refreshing, and incredibly effective for your arteries at night. And the number 2 food on this list is one you have probably been overlooking your entire life. Number 2. Cucumber. Cucumber is quite possibly the most underestimated food in the entire world of cardiovascular nutrition. People treat cucumbers as nothing more than water and crunch, a salad filler with no real nutritional substance. That could not be further from the truth. Cucumbers are a cucurbit, which means they carry the same L-citrulline-producing genetics as watermelon, and studies have confirmed that cucumbers contain between 1.5 and 3.0 milligrams of L-citrulline per gram of fresh weight depending on the variety. A 2005 study in the journal Plant Cell Physiology examined citrulline accumulation in cucurbit species and found that cucumber skin and the flesh closest to the rind contained the highest concentrations of L-citrulline, similar to the pattern seen in watermelon. This means that when you peel your cucumbers, you are literally throwing away the most valuable part for your blood flow. Research from Kagawa Nutrition University in Japan, published in 2011, specifically measured the citrulline content of cucumber and found that certain Japanese cucumber varieties contain citrulline at concentrations rivaling some smaller watermelon types. The key difference is that cucumber has almost zero sugar. A full cup of cucumber slices contains less than 2 grams of sugar, compared to over 9 grams in a cup of watermelon. For anyone watching their blood sugar, especially before bedtime when insulin sensitivity shifts, cucumber gives you the L-citrulline benefit without the glycemic impact. This matters because high blood sugar before sleep has been shown to impair the nighttime blood pressure dip. A 2015 study in diabetes care found that elevated evening glucose levels reduced the normal nocturnal blood pressure decline by an average of 4.2 mmHg in type 2 diabetic patients. The absolute best way to eat cucumber for nighttime blood flow is to eat it whole and unpeeled. Wash it well, slice it into rounds or spears, and eat 1 to 2 full cucumbers about 60 to 90 minutes before bed. If the skin bothers your digestion, try scoring it with a fork lengthwise before slicing, which breaks down the tough outer layer without removing it entirely. You keep the citrulline-rich outer flesh while making it gentler on your stomach. For maximum absorption, pair your cucumber with a source of healthy fat like a tablespoon of tahini or a few slices of avocado. Fat-soluble nutrients in the cucumber are better absorbed in the presence of dietary fat, and the amino acids including citrulline may reach your bloodstream more gradually, providing a sustained release effect throughout the night. A 2018 study in the journal Molecular Nutrition and Food Research found that consuming vegetables with a fat source increased overall nutrient bioavailability by up to 18%. You can also blend unpeeled cucumber into a simple nighttime smoothie with fresh mint and a splash of lemon juice. Mint has its own mild vasodilating properties, and the combination tastes surprisingly refreshing. Consistency is the real secret, though. Eating cucumber every single evening builds a cumulative citrulline effect that compounds over weeks and months, gradually training your blood vessels to relax more efficiently. And now, the #1 most powerful L-citrulline food on this list, and it is not even close. Number 1. Watermelon. Watermelon is the undisputed king of L-citrulline in the entire food kingdom, and it is not a close race. The word citrulline itself literally comes from citrullus, the Latin name for watermelon, because scientists first discovered this amino acid in watermelon back in 1914. That tells you everything you need to know about just how central this fruit is to the L-citrulline story. The red flesh of watermelon contains between 1.5 and 3.5 milligrams of L-citrulline per gram, but the real treasure is hiding in the part you have been throwing away your entire life. The white rind of watermelon contains up to 60% more L-citrulline than the red flesh. A 2005 study published in the Journal of Chromatography confirmed that the rind consistently delivered the highest citrulline concentrations of any edible plant tissue tested. This is the discovery I teased at the beginning. The part you spit out or toss in the trash is the most powerful blood flow food you could possibly eat before bed. A landmark 2014 clinical trial published in the American Journal of Hypertension studied 40 overweight and obese adults with high blood pressure. Participants consumed watermelon extract, providing 6 grams of L-citrulline and L-arginine daily for 6 weeks. The results were striking. Aortic systolic blood pressure dropped by an average of 7 mmHg, and arterial stiffness decreased by 15%. Those improvements occurred without any change in diet, exercise, or medication. A separate 2012 study from Florida State University by Dr. Arturo Figueroa found that watermelon supplementation reduced ankle blood pressure by 15% and carotid arterial stiffness by 12% in obese middle-aged adults during cold stress tests, which simulate conditions that normally spike blood pressure. Now here is exactly how to use watermelon for maximum nighttime blood flow. Eat 2 cups of fresh watermelon flesh along with some of the white rind about 1 to 2 hours before bed. Most people are not used to eating the rind, but you can make it palatable by cutting the rind into thin strips and blending it into a smoothie with the red flesh, a squeeze of lime, and a few ice cubes. You can also pickle watermelon rind lightly with apple cider vinegar and a pinch of salt, which makes it tangy and crunchy while preserving all the L-citrulline content. Another method is to juice the entire slice, red flesh and white rind together. A 2015 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that citrulline from watermelon juice was absorbed rapidly, with plasma citrulline levels peaking within 1 hour of consumption. That timing is perfect for a pre-sleep routine. Choose watermelons that are deeply colored and fully ripe because citrulline content increases as the fruit matures. Seedless varieties have been shown to contain slightly less citrulline than seeded varieties in a 2007 comparative analysis, so opt for seeded watermelon when possible. Store cut watermelon in the refrigerator and consume it within 3 to 4 days because citrulline content slowly decreases after cutting due to enzymatic breakdown. The simplicity of this approach is what makes it so powerful. No pills, no powders, just real watermelon with the rind, eaten every evening, letting nature do exactly what 112 years of science confirms it does best. That wraps up our list of the 7 most powerful L-Citrulline-Rich foods for better blood flow while you sleep. Every single one of these foods is backed by real science, affordable, and easy to find. You do not need expensive supplements or complicated routines. Just pick 2 or 3 of these foods, make them part of your evening routine, and let your body do the rest while you sleep. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss our next video. Thanks for watching.